Started back in April 1983, and I was talking to my wife one night, and I was working for Remax, one of the largest companies in the business today, and I really enjoyed myself. Wore their sweater proud, and I made the remark to her, and I have no idea why I made the remark. I said, you know, the only way you could ever outflank this company is if you had a company whereby you could make more than 100% and not pay any desk fees. And 100% is 100%. How could you make more than that? Laterally, you couldn't get there. But I went to bed that night, and she said, you know, you put your head back in the pillow, and I watched you go to sleep, and you still had your mouth open asking yourself that crazy question. And at 3:17 in the morning, I jumped out of bed, ran out to the dining room. I had the answer. Wrote it down on a piece of paper, and at that point I realized I had the solution, the ultimate solution for a lot of the problems in this business. Literally, with this idea, I could revolutionize the entire business. For 6 weeks, I was 5 feet off the ground. And then it dawned on me that I'd have to keep it a secret. And I ultimately had to keep it a secret for 13 years before I could introduce it into the marketplace. When I got out of school, I literally had no conception of what I would do for the rest of my life. Became a security gauge manager very quickly, and then I traded on the floor of the stock exchange in Toronto for 6 years. And they taught me something very important, something that was relevant and pertinent to what we've done with Exit. Most of the sheep are going off the cliff. And if you want to make any money, you got to buy and sell against the public, because the group is usually wrong. When I left the stock exchange, I went on and I took a job in the life insurance industry, and they taught me something very important, extremely important to where we're going. They taught me that the industry, the life insurance industry, had some of the best salespeople in the entire world. They weren't there because of life insurance. They had an ulterior motive. Residuals. Residuals. And you say, well, what's a residual? I don't even know what it is. So what we did was we instigated an idea into this industry whereby you could do less and make more, whereby the individual had leverage. We went one step farther. We looked at Sam Walton and what he'd done with Walmart. And Sam's idea was that if you could, you know, take the share structure of the company and divvy it up amongst his people in a certain way, he knew they would all get a piece of the action. As a result of people getting a piece of the action, he knew they'd put their hearts, minds, and souls into their jobs. They wouldn't just be an incidental bump on the log employee. And as a result of that, he built the biggest retailer in the entire world, bar none. Could I take that idea of residuals from the outside world and bring it into our inside world, whereby everybody in the entire corporation can get a piece of the action, and we can create a future for real estate agents that's never been here before, and we can create profitability potential for brokers that's never, ever ultimately been available in the real estate industry ever before? And the answer was yes. Our idea was to introduce residuals as a third dimension into the business to cure the problems. In other words, introduce this third avenue, this third income stream, a new potential which would open up everything. The real estate agent is the ultimate asset of the corporation. They are the driving engine of the business. They generate all the frontline money that pays all the bills, that creates all the future profit. When we looked at that through the eyes of the competitors, we found that that was not their perspective at all. As we started to go at this with that perspective, we built in residuals around that factor. The third dimension of real estate was going to be based on the building and stabilizing the organization through acquiring more agents, through offering a brand new opportunity. So I studied the profitability box of a brokerage very closely, and I found that you could stretch it to 10%. No higher. There was a threshold of paying right at 10. In other words, I could pay one person 10% off the top to manage that particular office, or I could pay it out residually. But for the most part, what real estate agents really do is they get autographs for a living. And If they get people to sign on the dotted line, they're that much closer to a paycheck. You could literally be the nicest person in the real estate business and starve to death if you can't get autographs. But if they could get the autograph of a real estate agent, I will pay them residually on the exit formula for the rest of that agent's career, as long as that person remains with exit any place that we exist on the continent. What if I paid you 10% off the top, 10% of the gross of the production of any real estate agent or anybody that wants to be a real estate agent to management? Any place on the continent, doesn't have to be your own office. 10% off the top for as long as they stay in this business and work for exit. Could you do anything with that? What would be an example of that? Well, say for instance it was Mary, and Mary is earning, say $70,000 a year gross, and you thought it was appropriate to, introduce her to management. So what you would have done was made that introduction, and it turns out that management is quite happy to proceed, and the license is transferred over to your brokerage at exit. And now, as Mary goes forth and generates real estate transactions, and they close, those transactions close, you get paid 10% off the top, sent to you as a special bonus. And you say, oh, where do I get that money, that 10% bonus? Do I get it from her, Mary? No, that's against the law. Do I get it from her broker? No, that's against the law. Any place in North America. Where do I get it? From head office. Exit Realty Corp International. As long as head office pays you the bonus, it's legal. You can literally duplicate yourself, clone yourself, or multiply yourself and create leverage where there's never been any leverage before. Now you've got your production, and as your transactions close, now as Mary's transactions close in between the gaps, because you don't know when the closings are going to be, you've got little bonuses arriving. You can have as many people like Mary as you want right across the entire continent. If you were to pass down wisdom to her and show her how to hold an open house better, how to present an offer better, how to take a listing a little bit better, as her 20 becomes 30, 40, 50, 60, $70,000, your 10% looks better, doesn't it? So you've got a vested interest in her growth. Really, real estate as an industry is a woman's business. Men just happen to be in it. Who relates better to the ownership of property than a woman? And now we've got an empathy-oriented company as opposed to an ego-driven company. Well, say for instance, since it does work, you went out and got two more just the same. You've got two more people earning approximately $60,000 a year. Okay, you've got three of them. 60,000, like I said, 10% of that is 6,000 times 3 now is $18,000 a year. As a result of just getting 3 signatures. $18,000 a year coming in through tapping into the energies of other people. It's not you running around in the rain any longer, it's them. And those bonuses are arriving as their transactions close. Would that perhaps help pay for one of your children going through university? Well, how much do I get paid if I sell a property? Participate from the selling standpoint in this business? We pay day one, $1, 70/30 on the first $100,000 of gross earned, 90/10 to balance annually. The most you can make per person per year is 10% of the first $100,000 gross, or $10,000. These are single-level residuals. This is not multi-level marketing. When you introduced her, maybe you were on 70% at that particular time, so you're going to get 10% of hers added onto yours, an equivalent amount of 10% added onto yours, and 10% plus 70 is 80. But you didn't just bring her in, you brought in somebody else. Bill, 10% off of his, 90. 10% off of John's, 100. 10% off of Fred's, 110, 120, 200, 500, 1,000, 2,000. Or in other words, you can make more than 100% of your gross by duplicating, multiplying, or cloning yourself through sponsoring, and earn the greatest return on invested time in the history of the world in the real estate industry. See, the one problem of being on a 100% system, as many of the desk fees or deal fee companies are, when you wake up in the morning and you're on a 100% system, you know one thing for sure. 100% is the most you can earn all day long. At exit, you can make much more than that. As we've asked audiences, looking through the eyes and hearts and minds and souls of their Families, you know what they've said? There's been over a 95% acceptance ratio right across the entire continent with regard to us being on the right track. That for the most part, most of them, especially the ones that have been around for a while, they've said, you know, I wish it had been here 20 years ago. Now, with our retirement program, once you stop selling real estate, you continue to have that benefit. In other words, for as long as you're retired, you could receive that 7%. So, in other words, our program is enhanceable or improvable after you quit. When we studied all the retirement programs of all the various companies around the world, we found that they were all fixed. Fixed for a period of time or fixed for life. You couldn't change it after you retired. You couldn't come in 3 or 4 years later and say, hey, I want more money. On ours, you can. On ours, you have the opportunity to introduce people into the real estate business, to management, any place that we exist for the rest of your entire life. Then we added 2 more features. We said it's got to be convertible. You come to us and say, well, can I go back? Could I leave, my retirement position and come back in full time? I've got some mental muscles here left, maybe 2 or 3 years, whatever. Is there a way to do that? Yes, there is. How do I do that? You simply come back and put 8, count them, 8 residential transactions together. Once the 8th one has closed, all your 7s automatically go back to 10. Now, it's not retroactive. Remember, we gave the other 3 to your manager. Manager's already spent that money. Okay, but from that point forward, you're now earning 10. So you could come back in full time and increase it back to 10 and go forward and then retire at a later time. So it's convertible. Number 3, it's portable. You're fed up with Hawaii. You want to go to Bermuda. Not a problem. Our software program, and it's an internet-based, centrally controlled software program, keeps an eye on you, and it keeps an eye on everybody that you brought into the corporation. And so consequently, we can mix match your bonuses no matter where you go. So it's totally portable to you. So what have we got? 3 factors with regard to our retirement program. It's enhanceable, it's convertible, and it's portable. Could you do anything with that? Is that better than what you've got right now? I mean, I left one of the most powerful companies in the business, but I had to draw a line in the sand. It did not give me the kind of return that was necessary for myself and my big family by comparison of the value of the product that we were selling to the customer. There just wasn't enough homework done there. It wasn't good enough. And I find that, as we go across the country, that just about everybody feels the same. Isn't it time that somebody in our business did something about the family or thought about realtors' families? And for the most part, most of them have a family of some sort. So we built in a beneficiary program into Exit. And you say, how does it work? Residually. And, what's the percentage? 5%. 5% off the top, paid to your pre-chosen beneficiary. As soon as you sign up with Exit, you select a beneficiary. And the other 5%, where does that go? To the broker that holds your license. We never keep the money, remember. 10% spins through no matter what happens. This means that if there is a problem, and for some reason you're taken out of the picture, that your family will continue to receive residual or perpetual bonuses on the closings of the transactions of every person you've introduced to the system for as long as they stay with the company. So what we've created here is an empathy-oriented company as opposed to an ego-driven company. We've done it on purpose, whereby everybody can work arm in arm, everybody can help each other in the business, the agents can help the brokers in the business, and everybody can create a future where there's never been a future before. That's good from the profitability standpoint of the broker. They're going to hire agents they never thought of ever being able to hire before. And a real estate agent has not only got the safety of a retirement program, but also the safety of death benefits after the fact, all proportionate, directly proportionate to the amount of people that they've brought into the system. Our job at Exit is to outflank the competition from every area of their endeavor. So when we go down the training mode, this pathway, understand one thing, that all of my trainers earn over $500,000 a year doing what they teach you to do. In other words, it's true apprenticeship. They did not read it out of a book. This is what they specialize in, and they cannot have the job of teaching you those things unless they make over $500,000 a year doing that for a living. So you're working with a specialist. And if you say anything that's inappropriate or wrong or perhaps off script, my teacher is right there with you and has you change it right at that particular time, listening very carefully. We're concerned about what you say when you're in front of a customer. So you're taught how to say it, what to say, what's right, what's appropriate. In 2 days, he's rearranged all your psychological furniture. He's got you saying and doing precisely the right things. You are in a group format, so consequently the conditioning process and the reconditioning process was comfortable for you. But now you're confident to be able to go out there and do that. You will double, triple, or quadruple your earnings simply because you now can initiate business where you could never initiate it before.
Something incredible is on the horizon. An innovative and exciting dimension is transforming the real estate industry at a record-breaking pace. It extends far beyond the parameters of earning a top commission. This new and exciting dimension is changing the entire financial perspective in real estate, generating a brand new income stream and compounding your returns on work accomplished. Exit Realty is changing the landscape.
We're the new kid on the block. But guess what? We sold 50% of the regional rights by population for Exit across the United States in 365 days. The biggest desk company in the world took 17 years to go from Denver, Colorado to Boston, just across.
Exit is growing at a rapid rate every day. It's the most popular and well-received real estate corporation in the history of the industry, bar none.
Sponsoring bonuses, fill in the gaps between your own closings. Bring in 2 people per year for 5 years, that's 10 people. So that when you go to the island, and I don't care, Barbados, Bermuda, Hawaii, it doesn't matter, wherever you're going to retire, when you're there, they're still working and bringing in money, and you're receiving your pension checks from Exit.
Individuals outside of the real estate industry, such as mortgage brokers, lawyers, bankers, or even the public at large, can also receive a sponsoring bonus. Ask us how.
Exit is the most highly advertised word in the world. We're more highly advertised than Sony Corporation, General Motors, IBM, or any combination thereof. Our sign shines while our competition is sleeping. 24 hours a day, every place you go, over 1 trillion Exit signs strategically located. You can see it for miles. Do the work once, and then get paid over and over and over again. You can make more than 100% of your gross. The ultimate idea that made for the changes that we're instigating into the business came from outside the industry. You can replace yourself, duplicate yourself, clone yourself, any place you go. You've got a future now that has never been there before. Totally flexible, totally portable, totally convertible. This is designed to be the biggest in the entire world. Wow, we're not above the crowd, we're above the door. Every corporate door in America.
For more information about Exit Realty, contact us at 888-668-3948 or visit us at www.exitrealty.com.